I don't know, I'd say we're probably at least 3 or 4 feet off the ground at one point. Hi, I'm Nathan Burnett. I'm from Mississippi. This is my 1974 Ford Bronco. I bought it in 1996. I've always wanted a Bronco because when I was a little kid, my dad owned a Ford dealership in a little small town in Mississippi I grew up in, but he would never let my brothers and I have a four-wheel drive because it's a farming community and he knew we would get in people's fields and tear things up, and you know, he would be on the hook for fixing someone's field or something, and of course we would tear the truck up and he would have to pay for that too. But when I was 5 years old, I got driven to kindergarten in one of these. I would sit over in the back behind the back seat. There was 3 families of us that carpooled to school together, and you know, so basically since I was a little kid, I've just been in love with them. The story with when I bought my Bronco was in 1996. I had made my mind up I was going to find one, and just happened one day to pass this one on the side of the road with a for sale sign on it, or what this one used to be. It was all there, but in really, really bad shape, probably a heartbeat away from a junkyard, but it ran, and I talked the guy down to 2,000 bucks. And bought it, and I didn't have 2,000 bucks, but I went and borrowed it from a friend and gave every dollar I made for a couple of months back to him to pay him back, and pretty much with the exception of changing out, you know, the seats and making the brakes work, which they didn't when I bought it, and the suspension had completely given up on the driver's side, so it leaned real hard left. I replaced the factory suspension back to basically stock, and just pretty much drove it like that, just having fun for the first 8 to 10 years I had it. Normally I left the top off, and friends and I would get in it and just kind of cruise around, and one weekend we decided we were going to cross a dry lake bed, and we did. It was me and 2 buddies and cold drinks, and we were driving across this lake bed, which was basically all muddy, but it was kind of a road, and but the only way out was one certain pathway or road, but to get to it you had to cross a creek that ran into this lake, and it was still, you know, holding water, and we finally found a place where we could tell 4-wheelers and side-by-sides and things had been crossing. We said, well, this is our best bet, but we could tell it wasn't going to be easy, so we backed up and hit it at about 30 miles an hour. And when we came out, we got airborne pretty good. I don't know, I'd say we're probably at least 3 or 4 feet off the ground at one point. Before we did that, because we knew that was likely to happen, one of my buddies with his camera phone got out and filmed us doing that. So I could actually prove that all 4 wheels left the ground. And you know, that would probably be the wildest thing I ever did in it. But that was the day I decided I would never do that again, because it took me 2 weeks to get all the mud out of it, not just off it, because just as much got in it as on it. And shortly after that is when the total restoration and modification process started, and it really hasn't been very dirty since. In 2008, I finally decided it was time to go all out. So first thing we did was rebuild the motor to make it reliable and not leak everywhere, and you know, smoke and things like that. And then as soon as we put the new motor in, it was just obvious it was time to let go on the body, so we started the body work, and it has pretty much been like this since 2008, with the exception of a few minor modifications. Now I'm not afraid to drive it wherever I want to go, but I don't intentionally beat on it or get it dirty. My truck is a 302. It was originally a 302 truck, but it is not factory anymore. Obviously, it does still have the factory 302 block, but it's been built, as I think I referred to earlier. It's approximately 300 horsepower, 30 overbuilt 302 V8. It's got a lot of add-on things, such as, I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I think that Bronco is really cool looking. Oh gosh, where am I? I'm still carbureted. I run Edelbrock intake and carb, and a 650 carb on it, and it does all I need it to do because I'm not trying to do anything super crazy. But other than that, my drivetrain from the external appearances is basically stock. It's still a Dana 44 front end, still a Dana 20 transfer case, and I'm still a Ford 9-inch rear end. But my gearing has been lowered, and I've got a locker in the rear. And my suspension has all been basically 5.5 inches of lift. Suspension 3.5, and I've got a 2-inch body lift on it. Yeah, I run 35-inch Netto Terra grappler tires. Or actually, these aren't Terra, I've changed them. These are mud grappler tires. I went with this wheel just because I wanted the kind of old school bullet hole wheel, but the 15s, factory size 15 was so small, it's getting really hard to find a decent tire in that anymore. And of course, with the brake modifications, I've got Willwood disc brakes on it. I needed the additional space for the larger brakes. So I'm now on 18-inch wheels. My favorite memories in my Bronco are going around to shows like this. Would be up there, but the best times I have in it are when me and my kids get in. I've got 3 children. The oldest is 18 now, but she was not born yet when I bought it, so basically I've had it her whole life, and then there's been 2 more come along since, so we're always in it, just riding around, having fun, kind of as a family, just enjoying the outdoors and the sunshine and the air. Just like spending time with my kids in it. There's a lot of people that I could give a shout out to and thanks to for all the help with assembling the different parts and pieces that have gone into my truck. But I would like to thank Wild Horses Bronco. There's been many times that I've called needing help figuring out how something worked exactly, or if I wasn't putting something together right, getting some help with our recommendations with what I should do to fix that. But you know, I've got a lot of resources from all the Bronco community, whether it be online, social media, what have you. That it's another thing about Broncos. There's nothing you can't do to one. If you can think it up, if you can dream it, you can do it. And the Bronco community is just that. You can look out and reach out to anyone, and they'll give you the help to figure out how to do what you're trying to do. But basically, when I started out building this truck, I wanted to build something that was like none that I'd ever seen before. Didn't want to exactly be copying anyone, but took certain cues from, you know, other trucks that I'd seen, as well as some new products that I had seen in the marketplace. And truly, the intent was, I'm going to build something that is a head turner, and it gets a lot of comments. So I think I pulled it off. I'm Nathan Burnett from Mississippi. This is my 1974 Bronco, and this is my Bronco story.